The iPhone 15 is causing quite the stir online.
If you were thinking about buying the iPhone 15, you might want to watch this first.
And unfortunately for hopeful buyers, the force behind this social media storm isn't positive.
It's absurd that that's actually happening and being allowed. We might all need AppleCare now.
This is not looking good for Apple.
Do not buy the new iPhone 15.
Let's unravel the backlash surrounding Apple's latest release. From its inception, Apple's iPhone has been able to set off a certain level of pandemonium, from lines down the street.
Yesterday when we were here, there were about 19 people waiting in line for this phone. Today, as you can see, hundreds more.
To campouts.
Even through the night, the faithful were here, camping out Mac style on the streets of San Francisco with their laptops and tents, waiting for the big day like anxious children before Christmas.
To new ill-advised methods for cutting to the front.
This woman rolled up with 16 grand in cash in hand. And bought Mark's #1 spot in line for $800.
She gave me $800.
And when you look at the tech giant's latest release of the iPhone 15, whether it's eruptions of crowds across America, chaos in Dubai, or in-store altercations in Delhi, one thing's clear. Apple hasn't lost its draw. And that's why it was only after buyers returned home with their purchases that disappointment began to sink in. Yep. Despite all the hype surrounding the iPhone 15's 5G connectivity, battery life, and new features, there are currently a whole lot of unsatisfied customers sounding across social media. For many, this comes down to the less than brand new condition their pricey gadgets came in, with scuffs, scratches, and further damage becoming apparent to multiple customers upon further inspection. To make fixing these issues all the more difficult, many discovered the dust and lint they assumed was on the outside of the lens of their new phones was actually on the inside, suggesting precautions weren't taken during Apple's assembly process. And one feature made any of these unsightly issues appear all the worse: the titanium body of the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. See, the chassis of these models is sleek, futuristic, and to many, a thing of beauty, at least when it's untouched. However, once iPhone users actually began texting, scrolling, and holding their devices, oil from fingerprints quickly dirted the 15's once pristine image. And these marks didn't just hurt the appearance of the devices, they transformed it.
So this was first found out when people noticed that touching the phone itself, like while you're using it, can cause a temporary change in color.
That's right. Simple use of the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max could cause discoloration, an issue even Apple acknowledged. As for the company's resolution to the problem, well, that was put on customers who had to follow cleaning instructions to return their devices back to the original color.
This is a big list of things that Apple is recommending if you buy the iPhone 15. Unplug all cables, turn off your phone, use a soft, damp, lint-free cloth, for example, a lens cloth. Avoid getting moisture in openings, don't use cleaning products unless following the instructions for disinfecting your iPhone, don't use compressed air. That is weird.
But it isn't just the appearance of the phone that's been affected by Apple's design. It's also, reportedly, the strength.
The iPhone 15 may be Apple's worst phone ever.
Despite using the titanium, which has to be the strongest material out there, somehow this is the weakest iPhone from Apple ever.
It's hollow as like night and day difference.
These PSAs followed a video from YouTuber Jerry Rig Everything. Since Apple had made back glass easier to remove and substantially cheaper just before the iPhone 15's rollout, viewers suspected the company was well aware of the phone's fragility.
Apple has made your phone easier to break, covered it by saying it's more repairable. Thanks, Tim.
So I guess that explains why Apple lowered the price of the back glass repair from $500 to, what, $200?
But for some, this burgeoning scandal was a little too familiar.
Was this just a one-off crack? Or are we about to have a repeat of the iPhone 6?
Ah, Bendgate of 2014. A time when the slightest wrong move could leave the latest iPhone permanently askew.
There was reports that people would put it in their back pocket and when they sat down, they would still bend their iPhone.
In 2018, internal documents revealed that Apple had known about this design defect all along. So was it possible the company had again knowingly released a phone with structural issues? Well, The following tests have suggested that Jerry Rigs Everything's video may have been a fluke.
3, 2, 1. Oh my god, I'm trying as hard as I can.
The official Consumer Reports TikTok account even put the phone through rigorous testing, where the device survived 100 drops without a flaw and withstood 110 pounds without bending. However, some users weren't so trusting. So you test the iPhone 6 with a single pressure point, but the 15 Pro Max you test with 2 evenly spread out pressure points? How much Apple playing, y'all? Also, it's the Max version, not the regular. What constitutes a paid promotion? So, Jerry can push harder than 110 pounds with his thumbs. And perhaps this suspicion comes from the testimonials of customers who had their phones delivered cracked, who noticed damage despite never knowingly mishandled their device, and who broke their phones upon the first drop. In fact, at least one person had reported that simply putting a case on their 15 Pro had resulted in the device cracking. And drop tests seem to lend credibility to these stories. Apple Track's Sam Cole tested the titanium iPhone 15 Pro against the stainless steel iPhone 14 Pro in a series of drops that in the end rendered the 15 unusable.
Dude, what? What is happening to the 15? This is not the durable titanium phone that I was promised. Obviously, the 14 Pro finally met its match. The screen, though, fully works, dude.
However, it wasn't the back glass Sam believed was at fault, but the device's edges.
I really think the curved design is going to be bad for dropping the phone.
Another YouTuber, Everything Apple Pro EAP, was looking forward to seeing how the titanium would fare in a drop test.
I'm really excited to see how Apple treated the iPhone to this material, and it's actually very innovative, the outer band with the inner being made of aluminum.
Yet, despite the YouTuber's high hopes, on first impact, the 15 Pro Max proved to be a disappointment.
In 3, 2, 1. That's it, huh? Wow.
And so did the 15 Pro.
This is the first time in any drop test video that both have cracked on impact on the first drops.
Apple's new device had also faced backlash for thermal issues that reportedly leaves phones too hot to handle.
Sales of Apple's latest iPhone 15 Pro are heating up, and so reportedly are the actual devices.
Introducing iHeater. You can now keep yourself and your family warm this winter.
Here it is. It is the iPhone 15. It came out just a couple of weeks ago, and now some users say they can feel it getting too hot in their hands.
According to various reports, this occurs when users engage with larger apps or features.
Some specific circumstances that I've experienced the overheating and others have are on phone calls, on FaceTime, when doing intensive games.
However, simple charging, mindless scrolling, or doing even less has led to similar reports.
And we're not talking about doing heavy stuff. That would be normal. This is just using home screen or using social media apps. Other people have also reported overheating issues even when they're doing nothing on the phone.
And when these devices overheated, users were the ones that would get burned.
The journal reporting that some folks are talking about phones that reach 122 degrees at times.
Tech reviewer Alex Skier and Tech claimed his iPhone 15 Pro Max had been idly charging when it became so hot the device notified him, charging on hold. He then posted a video where he measured the temperature of the phone at over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There was also a Redditor who claimed a 5-minute phone call was all it took for their 15 Pro Max to reach a temperature of 108 degrees Fahrenheit. But these temperatures were feeble compared to what tech content creator Valis Mine measured his iPhone 15 at after the device became too hot to hold while shooting a video. 51.3 degrees Celsius, aka over 124 degrees Fahrenheit. Content creator Low claimed he was facing the same problem. Returning my iPhone 15 Pro Max, overheating is a major issue. I turn on the phone and 2 seconds later I'm getting temperature warnings and can't even touch it because it's too hot. And while not everyone experienced these issues, a Twitter poll with over 8,000 votes showed over 30% of users had. Upon these reports, users joked, Samsung Note 7 right now. Can vouch my iPhone is currently on fire. As for tests that attempted to get to the truth of the matter, well, YouTuber Unbox Therapy found the iPhone 15 Pro performed no differently than other devices.
And given a certain combination of stressors, pretty much all of them can crack 100.
Yet, when Android Authority tested the iPhone 15 Pro against the latest models from Google and Samsung, the 15 proved to be marginally warmer when performing daily tasks. And when the devices engaged with applications and the operating system more intensely, the iPhone 15 Pro was the only device that approached 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. But what was causing this phenomenon? Was it Apple's A17 Pro processor in the Pro and Pro Max variants? Was it compromises the company had made to keep the phone lightweight? Was the titanium material to blame?
Could it be software? Could it be hardware? Could it be the latest generation of devices? Could it be Pro devices versus non-Pro?
The only certainty was that Apple had to stop this negative press, and fast.
Keep an eye on the news and find out if it's widespread. If it is, it's a good time to short Apple stock. Or, at the least, don't buy a new iPhone.
And in late September, Apple did come forward to acknowledge overheating was indeed a problem in some of the 15 models. As for the cause, according to the company, there were a few conditions to blame. One of these conditions was the increased background activity in the initial days after purchase, when users are restoring their devices.
When users get a new phone, re-downloading all of their apps, their data, their photos, that can be a long and processor-intensive procedure.
The more long-term issues had to deal with a bug in iOS 17 and recent updates from third-party apps overloading the system, including a favorite photo-sharing platform.
For some reason, using Instagram is gonna make your phone hotter than normal.
We're working with these app developers on fixes that are in the process of rolling out, Apple told Forbes. And in early October, Apple released iOS 17.0.3, a software update that promised to fix the issue. Unfortunately, not every problem with the 15 was so easily remedied. See, another bug in iOS 17 seemed to result in iPhone 15 devices lagging, becoming choppy, and freezing altogether.
Literally can't do anything on the new phone. And I've literally recently got it as well.
And despite the software update, users still reported experiencing these issues along with other glitches.
I've been an Android person all my whole life, and now I decided to change, and this has happened to me.
The 15's camera was another point of tension amongst iPhone users. For example, one Reddit user reported that when they used the max zoom on their iPhone Pro Max, the image shook to the left, became uncentered, and was often grainy. They wrote, "Please tell me I'm not the only one having this issue and that this is software related that can be fixed. I don't want to have to wait for a new iPhone again if this is a sudden hardware problem." However, other users pointed out this wasn't necessarily a problem at all. As one user put it, "This is all normal. The 5x camera is a different lens, so it won't be the same orientation as the other lenses. And it looks grainy because it's further away and not a good light source." Yet, other issues users have with the camera aren't normal whatsoever. One Redditor compared an architecture photo from their iPhone 12 Pro to their iPhone 15 Pro, which appeared to adjust the straight vertical lines on the building to make what to the users looked to be Greek-inspired swirls. In the comments section, they provided more photos where the 12 also appeared to capture a crisper image than the 15. One user commented, "The new AI they're using is overly processing and making small details weird." Another replied, "Yep, and it's extremely frustrating when you can't turn this off. On my 14 Pro Max, anything metallic and/or with small details ends up completely unusable. And it turns out iPhone 15 does use intuitive AI that's meant to make everyday tasks like photography and phone calls better by smoothing over glitches and offering helpful predictions without being intrusive." However, it seems AI doesn't so much smooth over glitches as it does distort reality. As one TikTok video showed, even words could be made to look hieroglyphic on an iPhone 15. Depending on the distance of the object and level of zoom, the text can become even worse, as seen in this box of pain-relieving patches. And then there was the matter of the speaker on these devices. TikToker Miles Above Tech was already on his third iPhone 15 Pro Max after facing the same problem over and over again.
I've been having speaker issues with every single unit that I got from Apple. With that issue being that the top speaker actually rattles when it's past 80% volume when listening to certain tracks or video clips.
After an internet search, he realized he wasn't alone in his string of bad luck, as other people have reported the same experience.
Since other people were having that issue, I said, you know what, let me go try out a couple phones in store to see if they have the same exact issue.
Miles tried 7 different phones, which included all 4 models of the iPhone 15.
And every single one of them with certain audio tracks and videos all showed the same exact issue, with it sounding like there's water in the top speaker. Now, some people might say that is not a really big problem or anything, but if I'm spending over $1,000 on a phone, I don't want my top speaker to rattle.
And currently, this growing list of concerns surrounding the iPhone 15 has continued to stack up, with reports that include testimonials of these devices swelling, apps being burned onto screens, and poor battery life.
I received this phone 2 days ago, and literally within 4 hours of using it, it was 100%. It drained 80% within 4 hours, and all I was using was maps and my camera.
Naturally, the host of issues surrounding the iPhone 15 has left some hesitant to make the splurge, and many have committed to not wasting a cent on the release.
Have fun. We'll not be getting the 15.
One Reddit user even canceled their Best Buy order in lieu of reports concerning the phone's potentially flawed design. They wrote, "After seeing durability tests on YouTube and the photos posted here, I don't think it's enough to protect my phone from my casual throw my phone around approach I have had for the past 2 years with my 13 Pro Max, which still looks minty fresh." But while some suggested that the user should hold out until there's more information on the model, others insisted they were being overly cautious, or as one user put it, "You're being paranoid. Not tossing your phone onto the floor would help." So what's the verdict? Well, according to CNET, if you have a Model 12 or earlier, the iPhone 15 will be a big step up, barring that you don't experience any of the malfunctions. However, if you have a 13 or 14, it might be worth waiting until next year. After all, despite the 15's rough rollout, many have had pleasant experiences with the device. When tech content creator Neil Sargent asked his followers how their iPhone 15s were holding up, given the reports of overheating and poor design, various users sang the device's praise. I've personally not experienced any overheating yet, charging with my MacBook Pro's 140W plug. Build quality-wise, I'm happy. It's just much more pleasant to use because of the curved edges and the lighter weight. I have been using FaceTime a lot, and my 14 Pro Max would get hot. The same can't be said for the 15 Pro Max. No build issues also. Very happy. Battery is top-notch also. Similarly, when a Reddit user asked if there was anyone else who hadn't had a single problem with their new iPhone 15 Pro Max, the 600 replies to the post made it clear that customer satisfaction wasn't a unique experience. No issues with my 15 Pro. Mine's great. 100% happy. Perfection gate. And even those who did experience some of the 15's trademark bugs didn't seem to hold against the device. One user commented, "Got hot the first 2 days. Now it's fine and no issues." Another noted that while the device did have limitations, they had no buyer's remorse. Is it OMG the bestest thing ever and so much better than my previous phone? No. It's slightly faster, slightly better, slightly nicer. Exactly as I expected from a 3-year upgrade jump, but I'm pleased with the device overall. But where were these satisfied customers amidst the outcry against the iPhone 15? Well, one user expanded on why these positive experiences weren't trending across social media the same way the negative experiences were, writing, "People who are genuinely happy with their phone aren't going to shout it out from the rooftops on Reddit. The people who are having issues are going to take their complaints online and will make up the bulk of posts about the phone." And while some have made the bold claim that Apple's innovation passed away with Steve Jobs and the iPhone 15 Pro has become the lowest reviewed premium phone ever, it doesn't look like Apple's grasp on the world of tech is even close to lessening.
The iPhone is one of the most popular phones on the market. Right now, it seems like iPhone 15 sales are still pretty hot. I don't think it's going to deter any would-be buyers.
So, is the iPhone 15 calling your name? Whether you should err on the side of caution or take the plunge, that choice remains in the hands of the consumer. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments below.